My name is Jessica Lahey. I am a teacher and a mom, and I've been a teacher and a mom for about the same amount of time. And over those years, I don't know, my teacher brain and my parent brain got separated somehow. And as over the years as a teacher, I started to realize that my students were increasingly afraid. They didn't want to take risks. They didn't want to look dumb. They wanted to look perfect all the time. And I started to get really upset with their parents, honestly, and that's a bad place to be as a teacher. Lots of studies have shown that when teachers and parents work together, kids learn better. And at the peak moment that I was sort of most angry with my students' parents, I made the realization that my own son, who was 9 at the time, couldn't tie his shoes. And that was sort of it was a difficult moment for me, because I had to admit that those parents that I was so angry at, that I was one of those parents. And I wasn't sure how overparenting influenced learning, how it seemed somehow that overparenting rendered kids less able to learn, but I wasn't really sure how. And when I started researching it just for my articles in The Atlantic and the New York Times, I made the connection through Carol Dweck's work and Wendy Grolnick's work and Dan Pink's work and a bunch of other writers who were talking about how autonomy supportive parenting supports learning, and how overparenting and setting kids up to have a fixed mindset, or setting kids up to not be resilient, or setting kids up to be helpless, that whole learned helplessness cycle, renders kids less able to learn, renders them less interested in learning, less able to enjoy learning. And that, it was really a mind-blowing experience when all of this came together, and I realized, wow, by doing what we think is best for our kids, by keeping them safe and making sure they're never uncomfortable and making sure that we rescue them and they never have to experience failures, we're actually making it more difficult for them to be good learners. And that's been that shifted everything in my teaching and in my parenting. And I hope I've influenced my children and my students for the better. I hope that now when they encounter something like desirable difficulties, which are such an important tool in the classroom for me as a teacher, that they're able to sit with frustration and they're able to say, oh, no, okay, don't freak out, I can do this. Because kids who have been directed too much or controlled by their parents can't sit with frustration. They get upset and they give up. But kids who are used to directing themselves and know that they are competent enough and that they trust that they can make good decisions on their own, those kids learn great through desirable difficulties. And that makes me a better teacher, and it makes them better learners, and I think it makes me a better parent too. So, I wrote The Gift of Failure, my book, for me. I needed a book that told me how to be a better teacher, how to be a better mom, how to help my kids learn better, and how to help my students be brave, be intellectually brave, and to not be afraid of a little frustration and a little bit of difficulty in the classroom. Because I think that's what makes for a great teacher, putting our need to have that immediate satisfaction of saving a kid, of rescuing a kid. That's what makes us great parents, and that's what I think also makes us for great teachers.